edge rusher competition. Mark, who starts?
I was just going to ask Eric a real quick question because he's a numbers guy. How often do they play that dime compared to their 3-3?
Hello.
When the linebackers got hurt, they went dime a ton starting kind of halfway through the year, and doing that. But that didn't really affect that front four. That was just pulling one of the inside linebackers off and sticking another safety out there.
Right.
So that it'll be interesting to see what they do there. They were comfortable there. I think you have more linebackers that you trust this year, where hopefully you don't have to go to that quite as much.
Cool.
Mark, you want to finish up there on this segment for you?
Yeah, we're moving to rush end, right?
Yeah, we're dealing with the edge rusher.
Yeah. You know, I have a really soft spot. I want to.
Wait a minute, can you write that down? Mark actually has a soft spot. Okay, just wanted to get that in there.
So,
on your skull, Mark. Where's the soft spot?
I've talked in my head a few times. Yes,
Okay.
I do. And that's probably going to make sense when I say that. I want to say Corey Foreman is going to be the starter coming out of spring camp. I know he's not going to be the starter coming out of spring camp. But I'd like to see him succeed. So I don't know if he can't do it this year as a starter. I don't know if he's willing to accept everybody who's coming across. So maybe that's where I'm coming from. I think when you look at his numbers there, this is going to be his third year, and so far he's got 24 total tackles. And he didn't even record a statistic in the Cotton Bowl. I looked that up today. I was shocked to find that out. So the backups, if Anthony Lucas is probably going to be the starter, they brought him here to be on the field. Whether he's a rush in, whether he's a defensive end, I don't know. Jack Sullivan can move him up on the line, and then behind those guys, just go Romello Height. Where's Solomon Tuliaupupu playing? Solomon Byrd, Eric's favorite guy, Devin Tompkins. I'd love to see where he is coming out of spring. And then you've got Jamil Muhammad they brought over from Georgia State. Where's he going to play? Is Eric Gentry, is he going to move up to the rush end? I know we've bantered about that here. A lot of talk, a lot of experimentation, I guess, is going to be going on during the spring.
All right, well, Eric.
Jamil Muhammad's the guy. I think he's going to come in and he's going to grab that spot. He's another guy, again, Lincoln Riley talked about this offseason, that his pass rush ability kind of jumped off the tape. That's what they need there. They need a guy who's going to get after the quarterback. Alex Grinch's defenses do the best when they get a ton of production out of that spot. They need a guy. I liked what we saw, what we were able to see a little bit in the spring from Romello Height. I don't think you can take the first half of Rice and first series of Stanford and say that's who he is. I think he's better than what he showed there, not when he, not having to play through injury. So I don't want to just sort of dismiss him and say he's not in it. But I think Jamil Muhammad is coming in to be the starter at rush end, and we'll have that by the end of spring.
Chris, what's happening at this position?
I don't know, but Jamil Muhammad had 1 sack last year.
Right.
I mean, he had 6 sacks 2 years ago, which I think was what he was still learning defense. And I think you look at that and say, okay, this is an athletic guy. He got 6 sacks. He's probably on his way. Last year, he played 12 games, had a sack and a half, and 8 quarterback hurries. I know he's a great athlete. I know the coaches have talked well about him, but that's not much better than Corey Foreman production. I mean, so.
Ouch.
Well, look, Corey Foreman has had 1 sack in 2 years. And I don't have a soft spot for him because I actually want somebody at that position who makes plays, because the defense is going to get torched until they find somebody. So it's not going to be him. I don't think it's going to be Jamil Muhammad. I think it's going to be Romello Height. I don't know what we have there, but he was the guy who sort of won the position last year. And, good sized guy, athletic. I think he's a starter. I think Solomon Byrd is going to get some time at that spot. And Bird's been productive at times. I don't think he's a fantastic athlete, but he's a guy who can get you 4 or 5 sacks this year. I think that's consistent with what he did last year. And then I think you have 2 younger guys who are going to push for playing time in Devin Tompkins and Braylon Shelby. I don't know what either one of those guys are going to bring to the table. It's hard to project. Sticking with Corey Foreman for a second, it's kind of hard to project sometimes what a high school kid is going to do at the next level. And so I don't know if Braylon Shelby's going to be an instant superstar or not, but it would not surprise me if Shelby starts to get real time by the end of the season. He's a really talented kid. But I think Romello Height is the guy until somebody else can take it from him. And you look at this group, there are a bunch of bodies, and there are a bunch of guys that you look at and say, yeah, he seems like he's got the size and the athleticism to do it, but you don't have a single one who's actually proven anything. So I don't know. I think that I think there's a real chance that by the time you get to September, that you're going to have somebody from the transfer portal that's going to take this spot over. That's my guess.
Could be. I think it depends how healthy Romello Height is. We kind of got a small sample size of him until he got hurt. But if he comes back ready to go, I think, Chris, you brought up a good point. I have Jamil Mohammed backing up Height. I saw a film on Mohammed. I think he's really explosive. But you make an excellent point. They only had 1 sack. But I'll put him there because they didn't bring him in to sit. So he's a real athlete, no question about it. Depth wise, kind of the same as you guys felt. I don't know. I started to wonder whether this is going to be Corey Foreman's last stand. I don't know how they're going to finesse with him. For his sake, I hope he comes off like gangbusters in the spring. But if he senses, and he will sense it by who plays when and what, and he doesn't, let's say, make a big statement like he's going to start, I just have a hard time thinking he's going to stay. I really do. And if that happens, that would be a real lesson to everybody about getting so overly excited about a 5-star, a #1 player in the country. I see Solomon Byrd being a specialist player. Devin Thompson, I think he's a real question mark, but in a good way. And I agree. I think that Braylon Shelby's got a lot of upside that we might see it in the second half of the season. But I think of all the positions, this one is probably the one for me that has the biggest question marks.